Can a single nation's decision reshape the geopolitical landscape of the world? Today we delve into the intriguing journey that led to France's surprising decision to deploy troops in Ukraine, a move that could have far-reaching implications. Our story begins in early 2024, when French President Emmanuel Macron boldly suggested that Europe could and should send troops to Ukraine. His assertion was dramatic, yet it carried an element of truth. Europe and the United States had staked their reputations on the promise of a Russian defeat in Ukraine. A defeat would not only shatter Western guarantees, but could lead to a wider conflict, potentially fracturing the European Union and NATO. When the Ukraine conflict began, the West responded appropriately, providing Ukraine with anti-tank and anti-aircraft weapons. This support significantly stymied Russia's initial onslaught. However, the war evolved into a stalemate, with neither side able to secure a decisive victory. The West then turned to economic sanctions, targeting Russia's economy in hopes of instigating a regime change. However, this approach did not account for the possibility of Russian President Vladimir Putin remaining in power, or the war reaching an impasse. Recognizing the stalemate, Macron addressed the reality of the situation and proposed that Europe should send troops to Ukraine. This proposal marked a departure from the West's previous stance of non-confrontation with Russia. On the 4th of May 2024, 100 soldiers from the French Foreign Legion arrived in Ukraine to support the Ukrainian army in Donetsk, with a further 1,400 set to arrive soon. This deployment was in line with Macron's earlier announcement that France would send more troops to Ukraine under two conditions: if Russia broke through Ukraine's front lines, and if the Ukrainian government requested French assistance. However, this decision was not without its complications. The deployment was carried out independently of NATO, which requires unanimous consent for such actions. This raises the question: if Russia were to retaliate against France, would it trigger a NATO response under Article 5 of the NATO treaty, despite France's unilateral action? The West's initial plan, to use the Ukraine conflict as a catalyst for regime change in Russia, had failed. Macron's Plan B acknowledges the reality that the war cannot continue as before, given Ukraine's limited manpower. In summary, the conflict in Ukraine and the West's failure to achieve their initial war aims have created an opportunity for Macron to reshape the European Union. However, the path ahead is fraught with hard choices and high risks. Macron's decision to deploy troops in Ukraine is a daring move that could either strengthen Europe's position or inadvertently undermine NATO. Only time will reveal the full impact of this bold decision.